Hi everyone, we're back with the 2020 Biz Kickstart event, and I'm joined with Sally, who's going to discuss all about online networking. So how do we network online? And before we dive in, we did have some technical difficulties with the camera, so apologies for that. We don't get to actually see Sally, which is a shame. So say hey Sally, let us know how you got involved with online networking.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me here today. Great to see you again. Okay, how did I get involved? Well, I guess I got involved with online networking as a way of initially of like supplementing my face-to-face networking, of keeping in touch with people that I met and maintaining those relationships. And in more recent years, I've come to realize that online networking it's very much a force in itself. We have some fantastic platforms to not just maintain relationships on, but to make new relationships, to meet new people, make new connections, and they can often prove very fruitful. So yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit today. Obviously we're talking social media when we talk online networking. And there are different platforms kind of for different purposes and different targets. So I'd like to run through what some of the really important tips are that I can give you to help you make your online networking worthwhile, because we know how easy it is to get lost on social media and go down rabbit holes and spend a lot of time that's not really very productive, let's say.
Well, aside from the time element then, what other things do you see whereby people get this wrong? Because, a lot of people do the whole mindful scrolling thing, but that seems obvious to a lot of people. Oh, I spent like 4 hours on social media where I didn't get anything done, and I didn't do a lot of networking, didn't make a lot of new connections or beneficial connections. Some people just add random people and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Well, how else do people get the whole networking thing wrong?
I think the thing is to be more targeted. I think we all got a little bit excited, when Facebook and those sorts of things first came out, and we were just, it was numbers, and it was quantity over quality. And I think it's time that we step back and targeted who are actually the people that we do want to connect with. Which people do we want to build relationships with, because they're either our target market, or we could collaborate them because they're in a similar but not competitive industry, or in the same industry but not competing. And right. I think the thing is to spend your time. It's the old 80-20 rule. You spend your time where the money is, and not just waste it having fun and watching cat videos, much as we love them.
So is it about having the time that we spend just on networking? Because I love a good escapism as much as the next person. So I think that there needs to be a definite, how can I put it? A definite distinction between, from just what you said there, like we need to split our time up quite well. Like we can't spend 4 hours watching like 2 films and go, that's all the time that I have.
That's my social media time allocation.
As soon as TikTok came out, I imagine people can spend hours watching 15-second videos, which I didn't think was possible, but there you go. So it does happen. People do it. And one of the first things that sprung to my mind was, well, surely if we actually dedicate time to certain things, that can change it. But then my next question is, well, how do we stay disciplined with all this? How do we convince ourselves that the networking is worth prioritizing as much as watching cat videos is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that is getting some results, is making some connections do actually bring you some results. Because it doesn't seem like anything's worthwhile until it actually pays off a little bit. And to do that, I suggest that you do target your market, do your research and find out where your tribe hangs out. If you're business to business, quite possibly they're going to be on LinkedIn. Your business and professionals, they're on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a great platform in that it's quite direct. You know, people don't expect you to fuss around too much and you know, sort of say, hey, how's your day going, rah, rah, rah. Yes, you're still nice, but it is very direct. And, you know, people tend to search for people that they think will be a good collaboration for them. And you know, just come out and say so, and say, hey, I found you with a Boolean search because you network with introverts. I work with introverts too. What can we do together? And so I've had some really great people approach me that way, and we have gone on to support each other by sharing each other's articles, commenting on each other's articles, introducing each other to new people. So those targeted approaches can really, really pay off. Whereas if you're just randomly, you know, adding people and that kind of thing, it takes more time and may not have the same payoff.
It's funny that you mentioned that a lot of this does take a lot of time, and what springs to mind is it's going to take time no matter what. I find, like my own sort of take what you said is, well, quality also takes time, quantity also takes time.
Yeah.
And then when you mention, oh, well, I work with introverts too, and there's a bit of like, you know, on the same wavelength sort of, but then you get to a point, don't you, where it's kind of, well, how do you want to spend your time? And you never know, like, what can happen. But when I started doing this, it was crazy. Like, I started, you know, just messaging people, reasonably targeted, right? So it wasn't all over the place.
Yes.
But like one of them would collaborate with me on something. I've had at least 4 or 5 recent connections speak at this event. So you really never know how it's going to go, and you could speak to someone, go all out in terms of like the quality side, and then the conversation falls flat, and then you think, oh well, I'll just see how things go in the future. So I think it's a difficult, but in fact, it's a difficult situation to be in when you try and go for quality and you don't always get it, do you?
No, that's true, but it's got to be a two-way street. So if you've messaged someone even twice, and they're not responding, I think you've done your time with them. I think the person that is interested in working with you will pretty much say so straight away. And as I say, especially on LinkedIn, I think Facebook's a little bit of a different animal, being that bit more social, and things happen to evolve differently, and it's one of those ones where people watch you, but they don't comment, they don't like things and things like that. But people are watching, and it's when you actually meet them in real life or somewhere like that they know all about you, because your friends on Facebook and they've been following, they've been watching, and it's quite interesting at times. So Facebook's one of those, you don't know who's watching, you don't know. That's so one thing I will say about social media is be yourself, also be your best self.
I guess that also brings up the whole, okay, well, how do I sort of do that? Like, what's the difference between being ourselves, being our best self, but then, like, what if we have a bad day? Or my case, as of recording, I didn't get much sleep last night. So how do we, I mean, I know how to do it, so I'm asking knowing the answer, right? But the people that are watching or listening might be like, how on earth do I go from just being me? Because obviously we have peaks and valleys like anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? Like, what's the main thing that we can do to put ourselves in that space? But then I guess people need to know what the difference between those two things are as well.
Yeah. And look, it is tricky because vulnerability. We connect on vulnerability, and it can be hard at times to be vulnerable. And you sometimes have to be, quite brave to show your weakness and flaws and things like that. But that's often where we connect. As long as it is, you're sort of saying, you're not just having a whinge. There's no point just having a whinge with no solution. I think it's fine to say, look, I've had a bad day, this happened, but I'm picking myself up and blah, blah, blah. And that's what I mean when you say, your best self. And in terms of what you post, if you wouldn't want it on the front page of the news for every person in the world to see, then don't put it on Facebook. If it's something, it's a little bit, don't post in anger. Be very considered. Because whatever you put there, it's out there forever.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't truly reflect who you want to be, then be very careful. Yeah, so just be mindful and consider the ramifications of what you put out there.
Yeah.
Having said that, you're always going to upset someone. I think if you don't upset someone occasionally, your message isn't strong enough. Yeah. And you get that, but you'll also find that on those occasions, quite often, your own tribe, the people following you, will rally to your defence, and you don't actually have to do much at all. It brings your followers out of the woodwork.
So sorry, Sally, were you going to say something?
Sorry?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something there. There was a bit of a break, and I thought, I can ask something else. But then you started talking again. So did you say something?
Oh, sorry. Please do.
Lack of camera. Anyway, so this sort of brings up the whole quandary of, like fake it till you make it almost. And not posting everything, only posting the highlights, all those things. I'm not saying that's actually what happens. Yeah. But a lot of people live in like one or the other. A lot of people live in, I'm only going to post everything, or I'm only going to post the best bits. Where I think you sort of say, well, you can ride the line a little bit, is not posting in anger. So if you are having a bad day, don't post screaming at the world, because there people know, look, I'm having a bad day, I've got this thing going on, I need to take a couple of hours or take a couple of days out just to make sure that I've got my head straight. I'll see you in a few days. Right? So that whole, there's a difference between, isn't there, of like showing everything, but then you say, well, don't post in anger. One of the things that I heard somebody else mention a while ago was you post something when you've got a lesson from it, or from the experience. So one of the ways I describe it is if it's close to home, right, like you're in it right now, you get very charged or very triggered is the new term, right? You get very triggered when you start to write things like that. It's probably not the right time to post it because you're involved. You're heavily involved in the situation, And then, what's your take on things like that? Things like faking it till you make it, and how you actually post those kinds of things so that people can relate to you more.
Yeah, look, we do want to see people as humans. I just wrote a post about the whole should thing. We've just had New Year's resolutions, and there are all these New Year's resolutions that, frankly, today's the day that 88% of them fall over because they're shoulds and not real wants and things like that. But part of what puts the should in our psyche is this perfect world scenario where people, post a lot on Facebook. They're on the covers of magazines. They look perfect. They look like they've never had a struggle in their life. There's not a hair out of place, and they look like they're just handling everything, and people feel that they should be able to do all that too, and it's not reality. It's fake. So I don't really like seeing that my whole life is perfect, because I bet it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like to see that little bit of vulnerability, and often with the things that I write, I've sort of realised that I'm solving my own problems and sharing that with people, sort of saying, well, yep, I was shooting all over myself, and it's made me feel terrible and like I'm a failure and that sort of thing. But instead of saying should, let's say I could, I will, I do. So I think, as you say, they're life lessons. Really important to share those and to let people see that you do have things that you struggle with, but that you're working on them, and it's, you know, you're human, and as part of humanity, you'd like to help share the solutions to some of your problems.
Yeah, I find that people can tend to struggle with it because, like for instance, with my own experience with this, it's hard. You've almost got to grow as a person to be able to share that kind of information. You know, that you can't put up the walls, you can't wear the masks, you can't do all of those things, and yet you've still got to put yourself out there. So when I did it, it was a massive growth thing for me. It was almost like every post I'd write that was a vulnerable one was a form of therapy for myself almost. I wasn't writing it for anybody else, you know?
Yeah.
Writing it, I'd post it and go, oh, that's so much better. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, that feels so good to just get everything out on the page and get rid of it, and it's gone,
Yeah.
forget about it, move on. And then you realize that other people are like, oh, I went through something similar, or oh, it feels really good to know that not everyone's perfect. And it's a weird, it's a weird sort of two-way street when you feel better when you express certain things, and other
Yes.
people feel better because they understand that, hey, you're not perfect.
Exactly. You're not perfect, and you're brave enough to show that you're not perfect. And it helps. I really think that we all have stories that are the keys to other people's prisons. And by sharing those stories, we help them, you know, unlock something in themselves and feel free to be themselves. And I think that's probably the feedback that I treasure most about anything that I've ever written, is when people have said, I read through that, I didn't know anyone else felt the same way. Thank you so much for helping me realize that it's okay to be me. And I was just like, job done. I don't care if, you know, if you read my book and you never get anything else out of it. If you take away that it's okay to be you, I'm like, yes, that's the difference that I want to make. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I,
very
I, like-
powerful to share.
I like that. It's really interesting that people can hear this and people can, well, see me. So it's
Yeah.
the same sort of thing because people are afraid of it. People are afraid of it because, you know, there's a whole story around social media being negative, social media being intense, social media
Yeah.
being like the cause of a lot of the world's problems. And I think part of it is, as you say, people sharing anger, people
Yeah.
shouting at the world, people. But the problem is social media can just be shouting into a void almost. You know, not everyone is gonna listen. Not everyone is gonna pay attention, and you know, the hardest thing in the world is to do this kind of thing. It's not easy. I mean, it's simple,
No.
you know, it's dead easy. Be vulnerable,
Yeah.
be you, be your best self, which includes like warts and all, right?
Yeah.
But it's not easy just because it's literally like two or three things. They're the two or three hardest steps potentially.
Definitely, definitely, but they're so worthwhile, because that's when we really make those connections. People connect on vulnerability, they connect on emotions. We don't connect with someone whose life looks perfect, who's, you know, I scroll past them, you know.
Well, I've started doing that as well, and Um, I was part of the problem when I first moved to Lanzarote, because it was all like, oh, going out to the beach and I'm doing this and the volcano hikes, and everyone was just like, oh, it's amazing at first. And then I've been, I think it's like 10 months so far, and everyone's kind of like, I'm sick of the beach pictures now. So it does definitely ring true that you just got to be honest. I think that's probably the first thing, because even though I do live here, it's still working. I'm still building things, still growing the businesses, still building the empire, if you will. So it's still work. But I know that I'm affected quite a lot by like the weather and things like that. So the fact that it's sunny almost every day helps me. It helps me with the business. It doesn't kind of, I don't go, ooh, I'm going to work from the beach today, all the cliche stuff that you see. But it does mean that, it is still work. It is still doing it. I am still having office days. I am still, working. It's not all play, And it's interesting to hear you say that people do connect on being vulnerable. People do connect on emotion. But then it's almost like, from what you said, that it's a real give and take thing. And
definitely.
When you think about it, I'll share a quick thing and then get your sort of take on it. Was that I was waiting for it to happen to me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting to post this kind of stuff until I saw other people posting this kind of stuff, which then I sort of sat there and I thought, I'm kind of enabling the whole lack of connection there, because if I don't do it, no one else is going to feel like they're comfortable enough to do it. And then I'm kind of confirming that it doesn't need to be done, if that makes sense. I'm confirming the lack of
absolutely.
Oh,
no, absolutely. Yeah. When you give yourself permission to do it, you give others permission to do it as well.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what you've done. And also, just bringing it back to terms of networking, the whole networking thing is built around the know, like, and trust. And how, if you're presenting a fake front, how are people going to get to know you? If they don't get to know you, what is there to like about you? And they sure won't trust you if they don't feel that they know you. So I think it's a really important part of networking is being yourself, so that people can know you, like you, and trust you, and develop relationships from there, develop connections that bring in business, bring in collaborations.
Do you ever feel like the whole know, like, trust thing, people skim through it? Did you ever feel like that? You ever feel like, because obviously we were off track a touch, so I am grateful that you brought us back to networking. But
it's okay.
When you think about it, people hear know, like, trust and go, okay, I'll post a quick fact about me. I'll post something that will encourage people to like me a bit more, and then I'll post something that will encourage people to trust me a bit more, and I'll just repeat that cycle 3 or 4 times a day, and everything is going to be amazing. But part of the whole, like, what we've shared so far is you've got to go deeper. Like, people can know us a little bit, people can like us a little bit, people can trust us a little bit, but that still might not be enough. So it's almost like what you've said there. It's like, right, we've got to be vulnerable, we've got to go deeper, we've got to share our own emotions almost, and almost like a written therapy session for everybody involved to encourage that to go like 1 or 2 or 3 levels deeper. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I agree. The know, like, and trust is interesting though, because it doesn't, you'd think it would always happen in that order, but it doesn't. Sometimes, sometimes we can post something that just grabs someone that they just relate to instantaneously, and they don't actually know you, but they have connected with you on something that's important to them. And it's built trust straight away before they've even had a chance to do anything else. yeah, and often a way of actually getting trust is asking someone to do something really small for you, or asking their opinion about something. And I'm not sure if that's a sort of shortcut that you're talking about, because it still is actually valid. And I think, yes, the no and the like still comes along the way sometimes, but it's just not always in that order. And it doesn't have to be. Um, in terms of whether we're skimming over things, look, quite possibly some people are, but I think we all have our own take on just what it really means or what it entails.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I don't think I'm going to comment too much on how I think anyone else feels about that.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the angle I was coming from was, some people post a meme and that's all they do for the day. I'm not saying everyone does that,
Oh,
but
okay.
you sort of, there's almost like a lack of commitment to it, if that makes sense. Like people tend to
Yes.
go, oh, well, I'll post that, and then that's social media done for the day. But obviously, we're sort of in the realm of networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost not enough to just do those things. It might have worked years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
now I feel like people are wanting the connection more than ever, at least in my own experience. And again, it's almost like you've got to you've got to give it, you've got to put it out there
Yeah.
to get it back. That was a thing that I had to learn. I had to realize that because my social media wasn't filled with people sharing their deepest, darkest secrets. So
No, you
I
had
just
to start.
feel like I was comfortable enough to do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a big part of the time that I would spend on social media isn't so much posting my own things, but engaging with other people. And
Okay.
as I said, yeah, scrolling through, seeing people that I know, and I like what they're doing and that sort of thing. It takes a second to put a quick like on it.
Yeah.
And if it really grabs me, yeah, I'll make sure I comment on it. And if it's something that's really, I think is really important to me, then I'll share it and comment it, and often tag them back and say thanks to so for sharing this. This is really important. Blah 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 blah. Engage with people that way, and that certainly does strengthen relationships. Whereas, yeah, just posting a meme, you're right. What does that do? It's gone in 3/4 of a second, and that's it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with you there.
Yeah, I like the way that you mentioned that. Okay, well, it's all well and good posting my own stuff, but then it's showing support for others. It's getting out there and engaging with people. Because
Mm,
I'm sure you may or may not agree with this, but the whole networking thing. I mean, I saw something the other day of if you treat every conversation or every engagement like it's a face-to-face one, then
yes,
that'll change your whole dynamic. It'll change how you
yes.
do it. It'll change how you approach it. It'll change how long you spend doing it. Almost. I mean, it did for me. I don't know what your take is on that.
No, I think that's really important, is to treat everyone, like they're there in front of you with the same respect and kindness, and with the same positive mindset that you would like to deal with people that are right there with you. Where I think that's really important. It's a great point.
So, what sort of ways can we maximize the time that we spend with the networking thing? Because we can all post on social media. You're giving your take on the fact that you agree that sometimes just posting a picture or a meme probably isn't as helpful anymore
Yeah,
towards the whole building relationships thing.
yeah.
What are some of your best tips? Now, I am aware that you might be on the verge of repeating everything that you said over the past sort of 25-30 minutes. But
No, I've got some extra stuff. It's okay.
you might be like, okay, well, maybe it's worth hearing it again.
No, that's it. I was going to say, add value. That's probably the biggest thing. Is think about, think about your tribe. What do they need to hear? What are they looking for? What sort of advice are they seeking? What do they want to know? What do they need to know? What's going to help them? What's going to uplift them? So I think about not just positioning yourself, but I think you do have to think about positioning yourself, because you do want to come across as professional and as knowledgeable in your field, but do it from a place of helping others. So that while you give good value, you're also positioning yourself. And as you say, just treat everyone with respect and courtesy. Don't be in selling mode. Be social, be there to solve a problem. And if that entails them buying your service or engaging your service, then fantastic. It's all working out. That's great. So be helpful and stay involved. Just keep developing those relationships.
Good stuff.
And
stay
in touch with people.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, people really love to be remembered, and recognised and things like that. So, if you have the opportunity to do so, one of the classic ways is, I really do like using social media to connect with people. Usually, face to face first up, and then using the platform. Send a message to them, say, hi, so-and-so, it was great to meet you at such and such, and then mention something you talked about. For example, they might be going on holiday to Fiji, and so you hope you have a great holiday in Fiji, and send that to them, whether it's in LinkedIn Messenger or Facebook Messenger, doesn't really matter, but it means that you have something there in Messenger that's told you a little bit about that person and what they're doing. And it means in a few weeks, when you quickly scroll back through your Messenger feed, which is a good thing to do now and then, you're going to see that they went and had a holiday in Fiji. And it doesn't take much to send a quick message then saying, hi, so-and-so, how was that holiday? Love to hear about it. And most people are like tickled pink that you've remembered them. You've remembered something that they're going to do, and you care enough to show some interest in it. So that's probably my tip is take an interest in people, care about them.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that more and more people need to hear. It's more about caring enough to do this, because a lot of people, I get dozens of messages every day of just hi Mike. That's pretty much the message.
Now, really?
Which is fine. But it's a bit like they don't give me anything to go on. And if I don't actually know this person, which if I've known them for a while, then I don't mind that, because I know enough about the person to be able to go, oh, how's your daughter? Or I noticed you've done such and such a thing. How'd that go? Or I noticed you recently went to a Tony Robbins event, or you went to Burning Man, or whatever it is. But you know enough about the person, then that's okay. Because just started a conversation, right? How else do we start a conversation? But like the next sort of part of what I wanted to ask you as well was, how on earth do we get to know new people? Because someone that I don't know can send the same message and I'll just delete it. I don't know them. I've got no idea who they are. And that brings up the thoughts of, well, they probably are going to try to tell me something. Because I get sold to every day. Every messenger, it's every day. Yeah. And they also start with, hi, Mike.
Of course.
It's difficult because I also don't want to come across as a horrible person. But then if you're trying to, like the caring thing and the making an effort thing, nowadays it's not that difficult. It's not that hard to do, because you go through their Facebook, you check out their Instagram, maybe you flick through their stories to see what they're up to, and then you send them a message. It doesn't seem, at least to me, it doesn't seem that difficult if you actually want to get to know the person, and then you just mention it. I've spoken to people that I wouldn't even dream of, like randomly. I wouldn't even dream of messaging, I mean, they don't reply, right? But I don't dream of messaging like the odd celebrity just for a laugh. You know, sometimes I just test myself, go, ooh, I'm getting a bit worried about messaging this person. Let's give it a go anyway. I check out their story, I check out their feed, and see if they've got anything else going on, because obviously celebrities are doing their stories all the time, so it makes life easier for me. I go through, I check out what they're up to, check out if there's anything that I like about what they're up to as well, because if I don't like the fact that they're doing this thing, it's not really something worth mentioning, otherwise the conversation can turn sour, right? So I go, I like that they're doing this, I like that they're doing that, I'll put it in the message, you know, because I want to message this person, I want to get to know this person, and that's how it rock and rolls. So for me, that's what I do, but I'm aware that I could be an outlier. So how do we approach the whole trying to get to know people that we've never met? Because, you know, I know it happens because I receive them. Messages of just, hi, Mike. There's no context. There's no getting to know me. There's no, oh, I noticed you running an event this month. How's that going? Not even that. And I post about it at least 2 or 3 times a day. And not even that. It's like, okay, I get the algorithm thing, but if you cared enough, you'd probably have a look and see that all I'm posting about is either about the event, the challenge I've got coming up, or the podcast that I'm also changing. So it's like, if it doesn't, particularly for people that you don't know, and the people that put themselves out there in, you know, often enough, if anything, it's easier to find this sort of stuff out. But are there any, not tricks, it's the wrong word, are there any like tips you can give people to try to get to know strangers, people that you literally just connect with online? Because if anyone adds me, invites me to like their page straight away and sends me a message straight away that's just, hi Mike, I'm never going to speak to this person ever again.
No, and it's probably a bot anyway, you know, or some sort of automation anyway, which just has no sort of personal feeling to it whatsoever. I probably tend to do more messages on LinkedIn rather than Facebook, unless I've actually met someone. Because on LinkedIn, you can say, you know, I've had a look at your profile. I really admire the work that you're doing. I see we have some things in common, and you know, say what they are. I look in, and you know what, even if you want to shortcut, say I look forward to learning more about you and what you do, and just, you know, open the conversation up a bit. But yeah, I totally agree with you. If you're interested in connecting with someone, then why don't you do a gentle little bit of stalking and find out about them before you talk to them.
Sally the advocate for stalking. Anyway, keep going.
Very gentle, very gentle. You know, but it's all there online. Why not have a quick look? And was there a reason that you contacted this person, or did they just come up in the you might know and you hit the button? Which I kind of must admit I just don't do that, because we do end up with so many connections, and we can't maintain relationships with them all unless you start, you know, putting them in a database and sending out a weekly newsletter and all that sort of stuff. So I tend to work with those who do show interest and promise. Devote your time there. But I don't think I'd be responding too much to just a hi Mike and never, them never saying a word again.
Yeah, it's weird because I also had, I probably shouldn't really share too much detail, but I had someone message me randomly. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go just to see. I'll just see what they're like. And I replied, and they asked me for money. Straight away.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know them. Never met them before. Couldn't even pronounce their name, right? That's how kind of I don't know this person it was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, sorry, I don't give out money online to people that I don't know. And that was it. But they kept messaging because I replied.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little voice inside my head that was like, just don't be a nasty person, but you just got to tell them that's your blanket policy on people that you don't know. And if they want to, and just say, I appreciate it if you didn't keep messaging me, because I get loads of notifications, and I don't want notifications from people that I don't want notifications from.
Oh, no.
So it was just like, you do get it. It does happen. It's known as the dark hole that is the internet.
Yeah.
But it's just something that you don't think you have to be aware of until it actually happens.
Yeah.
Until
Well, I
you
think you're
get
very patient.
Go on.
I think you're very patient. I probably would have blocked them as soon as they asked for money and just not engaged any further.
Block them, kick them out, delete them,
Yeah,
write a
that's right.
nasty post on Facebook so everyone that
I was
likes
to
your
spend my
stuff will
time with
see it.
I was spend my
Don't
time with
post in anger
people I
though.
get on
Don't
with.
post in anger. Which again, coming full circle, is about being intentional, right? It's about caring. It's about being intentional. Yes. It's about making an effort to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
which means, and this will probably be the last sort of question that I would say, it does take a lot of time to do this kind of thing.
Yes.
I mean, for one person, probably not. But for 10 people, for 100 people, 200 people, you can literally take up your entire day just doing this.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
And people watching this also have businesses to run. They also have clients or customers or all this stuff to fulfill or a business to build. So do you have any strategies or software or ways that you can... I probably get a funny feeling the answer is going to be no. But is there anything that we can do to not so much speed it up, that's the wrong word, but to be a bit more efficient with it so that it doesn't...
Yeah, to be a bit more targeted.
...be spending doing other things?
Yeah. I think you have to make sure that you spend your time where the money's being made. If you are actually making money in your business from the connections that you foster and develop and do on spend time with online, then yes, you'll spend some time there. But if you don't, there's actually, it's not quite an equation per se that I've worked out, but I've come to realize that if you have a low value product that you sell many of, the connections that you make, you need lots of them, and they can be very shallow. Very shallow. For example, if I sold printer cartridges, people don't really need to know me, like me, trust me, except to know that I'll deliver a good product on time. That's all they need to know. Mm-hmm. But if I'm selling a high-end coaching program, instead of needing to know thousands of people to sell those printer cartridges to, I need a lot less people to deal with, but of a whole different target market. I really need to niche down into the people who want my service and can afford my service. Mm-hmm. So in that case, I'm hoping I can explain the difference. If it's a small, cheap sort of product that you need to sell lots of connections, can be very tenuous connections. I just want your product. Yeah, you got the best and cheapest. All I need to know. But if you are asking them to invest a lot more money, then they're going to want to know that you can deliver the goods, are trustworthy, everything that you say you are, that sort of thing. And so less connections, much deeper. So just have a look and think about where you fit in that equation. And spend your time accordingly.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that, because if you think about the world that we're in now, it's kind of, you've got to have that conversation with yourself, I think, before you jump into this. Because if you go, oh, I'm having to spend like messaging thousands of people and it's all over the place. I haven't got time to deliver the goods. I've not got time to do this or this or this. And a lot of people can have that much demand, if you will, or that many conversations going on that people lose track. You can't fulfill orders. You can't have happy customers. And then the business will end up going under, I imagine, because things can go too well to the point where you can't actually deliver what you said you would. And that can have, obviously, your business goes bankrupt because you've got too many customers.
Yeah. Or the other way, and you're spending way too much time on social media and actually it's not bringing you in the money and you're not spending your time on the tasks and activities that are bringing you in the money. So you just have to have a good look at your situation, because I can't give you a one size fits all, because every business, every person is different, and each person has to work out what is best for them. But spend your time on the things that bring in money.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, Sally, before we get to audience questions, we do have someone on live, which is awesome. So I'm going to give them the chance to write notes and come up with their questions. That's why I'm talking for a bit longer. Where can people go to find out a bit more about you? Your chance to share links, social media, anything that you want to mention.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on sallyeberhardt.com, and that will have all my social media links on there. You can also find me on a platform called Medium. I do a lot of writing on Medium, and if you just Google up Sally Eberhardt on Medium, it will bring up my articles and stories, and I've had feedback that they're really helpful. So, cool. Yeah, please go and find me there and have a read. And yeah, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. They're about it for me.
Awesome, Sally. So what we'll do, we will go to questions. So we'll see if we've got Debbie joining us live. So I'll unmute you. I'll mute myself. Deb, this is your chance to ask Sally any questions that you might have. Here we go.
Hi, Sally. Thanks for your talk. It's been really informative and really sort of inspirational on it all, because
thank you.
I can spend like lots of time on social media talking to random people, and they're not what you're looking for. They'll end up being a student or something or other, and my problem is like how to stop being nice, and they're asking perfectly reasonable questions and things, but they're on almost every other day, every day, and wanting to know how you are, what you're doing and things, and how to reduce sort of that interaction tactfully, without you're a nice person. You don't want to say, yeah, it's not it's not what I'm on for. So
yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think you have to be both smart and kind, and but also come from a position of strength with your kindness, because I think we tend to sometimes we're almost kind because it's the easy way out. We're kind of being kind because it's hard not to be.
Yeah.
And I think you really have to remember that that your time is valuable, and you do have to look after yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be rude to people, but sometimes I think you just have to let them know that been great talking to you. I've really got to get on with my day. Have a great day. See you. Bye. And just stop. Just stop. When you say goodbye, just stop and do not engage again until you're ready, if ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get
Yeah.
stuck back in.
No, no. And then there's like other people that are just way out and saying, you know, oh, I think you're gorgeous, da, 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 and just like they go into the ignore box, if not the blocked box.
Very good. Yes, yes.
Really
Don't let
is.
them waste your time.
Like, no time for that at all.
No.
And another question, sort of, if you're going into like social media, like Facebook, it's a social site, but you're going in there like for a purpose, and just how to stop feeling manipulative, that that you're like targeting people. It just seems it's like my niceness. It's like as if you know
Yep.
manipulating people to get an end result, really, and how to avoid that feeling.
Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and every business solves a problem.
Yeah.
So, Deb, I assume that you solve a problem somewhere in your business.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think if you go there with an attitude of helping people and helping people solve their problem, part of it is also, well, you kind of need to find the people that have that problem so that you can solve it for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think just keeping the helping people in mind and solving their problems, I think that takes the ick factor out of it. Because it is feeling salesy. I mean, it is yucky, you know.
Yeah.
I probably never ever go on there with the intention of selling a book or something like that. But I'll go on social media with the intention of perhaps shedding a little bit of light on the introvert psyche so that people feel better about themselves, or they can handle a situation better, or something like that. And if as a result of that they buy my book, fantastic, yay. If they don't, they don't. I still hope they got something out of their time with me.
Yeah.
So just go and solve the problems, and it'll help you target your market, because you'll be spending your time with the people that actually have the problems that they need you to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That's good. Great. Thank you.
Good. Very welcome. Thank you for the question.
The last one is, I often feel that, like we talked about, the know, like, and trust, and I just wondered if sometimes worry if there's something this process can like devolve, and you could say something or do something that turns someone off and thinks, oh no, I can't relate to that anymore, and I don't want to engage with that person anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, it seems like it can be fragile sometimes either way.
Yep, sure. I would say trust your gut. Just always trust your gut. You will know when it's not even saying that they're a bad person. It just means they're not the person for you to be engaging with. But just trust your gut with things like that. And I was going to say, yeah, look, going back a little bit into feeling icky, if you're out there helping people with no expectation of return, if you're basically giving without hooks, there's no reason for you to feel icky. No reason in the world. If you're not doing something to get something in return, then you're home and hose. So just go out there and so say, well, this is what I do to help people.
That's smashing.
Is that what you need to help you?
Yeah, that's great. Lovely. Thanks very much.
Very welcome.
I suppose in some ways as well, it's very easy to have the expectations. Very easy. Because in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking, well, it's a business activity, right? Like, you're doing it to grow your business. So in the back of your mind, you're probably like, oh, you no longer relate to this person. You think, oh, I've got to try and find somebody else. And then there's the next thing, and then there's the next person. And then the person gets so close to wanting to work with you, and you realize, oh, maybe they will in a couple of months as long as I keep talking to them, but you ultimately never know. and there's so much uncertainty around it that
Yeah.
it can be very difficult to sort of keep going, for one, figure out where this relationship's going with this person, whether it stays, you know, friendly, whether it becomes business wise, whether it doesn't, whether you try and, I guess the whole manipulation can also come back to trying to control it a bit too much as well. When you're trying to guide the conversation down this whole sales aspect, and it never goes down that way, and the person gets defensive, and then you switch them off from ever buying from you at all. But it can be so easy to have that expectation because in your mind, you're doing it to grow your business. So I totally get where Deb's coming from with the whole like manipulating people and whether it'll work, whether it doesn't. I think the expectation can also come down to the expectation of the conversation as well. Like, do you expect it to go down the business road? Do you not? Do you have this voice inside your head that goes, well, if it doesn't go down the business road at all, I'm never going to speak to this person ever again. And that's the voice that's going inside your head. Like, if I'm never going to buy them, there's no point in talking to them, which we all know probably isn't the wisest move. But again, it's a business activity, so you've got to be a little bit blunt, a little bit strict with how you do these things. And it's not easy. As Sally says, there's no like cookie cutter approach.
No.
There's no one way of doing it. And I like what Sally also said about sometimes you do have to just trust your gut. Sometimes you literally just have to sit down and go, this person's adamant that they're doing it on their own. They're happy to do it on their own. Maybe you put them in some kind of automated thing, whether it's an email list, a messenger bot, so that you're still keeping in touch with them, but you're not having to sit there and message someone that's never really going to reply or is never going to buy or the relationship's never going to go anywhere. You really want to sit there and spend an hour a day or 2 hours a day having that conversation. Or could you add them to something that's slightly more automated so that you can focus on the people that you can have these more deep conversations with. At least that's literally I've had about 10 minutes now of processing the entire talk, and I love this. I love sort of sitting there going, process the whole thing. So it does come down to that. You do just have to, but again, this is more of a, like, that's what I would do. I would go,
definitely.
I don't want to have like 500 people to message when only 10 of them are going to potentially buy. I'd rather have a messenger bot that messages the other 450 or 470. The ones that want to reply will still reply. The ones that don't. And that's the way I do it, because there's a hell of a lot going on. And an hour is a full hour spent messaging people. It's an hour that you spend doing something else. As Sally said, it's about going where the money is and setting up your business in such a way that you can do things the way you want to do them.
There's no reason you can't add value to people via automated means. Just because it's automated doesn't mean it's not great. It's all going to be about what you're saying, the content that you're giving and that kind of thing. You know, sending out a MailChimp newsletter once a week, once a fortnight, once a month even, it just keeps that point of contact there. And you might talk to 200, 500, 2,000 people, 10,000 people at a time with that one little push of a button and that one bit of contact. And yet that content may have enormous value for a certain number of people who will come on board. So yeah, absolutely. Use those automations. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for Sally, Deb? Any other questions at all? Anything you want to mention?
No, that's me all done. Thank you very much, Sally. It's been
Thank
awesome.
you. It's been great talking with you, Debbie.
Great, thank you.
All right, it's been awesome. Sally, again, thanks for sticking around to answer questions. Hopefully people grabbing the replay can also get a lot of benefit as well. And yeah, Sally, thanks for being a guest.
Thank you, Mike. Pleasure as always. Okay.